James Vogle, how you doing, brother?
Mate, very, very good. I'm enjoying the sun
Yeah.
at last.
Different to the UK, right?
Insanely different. And I forgot how good the sun was.
Yeah. I just want to say, first of all, a warm welcome and thank you very much for joining me on the pod today. I know you're only here for a short while, having come over from the UK, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join me.
Pleasure, mate. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast. I think this year I definitely want to start doing more of these. I've got a few events lined up, and I just want to basically, my mission this year is to get on as much as possible and just help as many people as possible. And I know this podcast is, the aim of that is to try and get people genuine conversation, but also be, inspire and just get some people, sort of coming through.
Absolutely, and I think you've got a lot of value to share. I see it on your Instagram. I think that's was kind of what drew me to you. I was watching your Instagram and ended up bumping into you in the gym and going from there. But before we digress too much, I want to take a moment to introduce you, just so everyone has an idea of your background and kind of the things that you're involved in. And I was thinking on it on the way here, and I had a bit of a hard time really pinning it down, because by this point you've actually got quite a diversified business portfolio, property portfolio as well. So hopefully I can relay this correctly, but you are the director of WV Virtual.
Yep.
You're the director of Fitpreneur.
Yep.
You're a business mentor at Limitless.
Yep.
And you also have quite an impressive property portfolio that is Vogle Properties.
Yep.
Did I miss anything from that, or is there any more going on behind the scenes?
No, you haven't.
Yeah.
You've hit it on the head. It's been a pretty crazy business journey. And I think one of the funniest things is, obviously it's my birthday today, 26.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, man. And whenever I say how old I am, everyone's like, what? And I think it's because I have done a lot from a young age. I've experienced brick and mortar businesses, online businesses, in-person services. I've experienced a wide range of businesses. And that's, I think, how I've just developed. And one big thing that I've always found is I'm very, very good at scaling a company. And I'm also very good at finding a company off of that scaling. And that's how my businesses have developed. I've grown a company to the point where I've then identified something else. And then I've created a separate company, because I'm very, I've just become good at just building a team very quickly, getting a business off the ground. It's like, I'm not going to say it's easy, but I find it just enjoyable.
Yeah.
And as I've developed more companies, just other stuff happens and you meet new people. Like my latest company, Fitpreneur, has come through networking, fell into that. Probably looking back, it is a natural progression, but fell into it. But if I hadn't have done all the other companies, would I have got that opportunity? Probably not.
I think the key there is, like what you mentioned, to start early. And I had a similar conversation with another guest that I had on the podcast as well, that the key is just to get started somewhere, because you're only really going to grow and develop from there. And I'd love to hear about, your background and how you got started. But before I do that, I just want to take a moment to appreciate the fact that, like you mentioned, you are 26. I'm 27 now, and as I'm getting older, I find myself looking up to more people that are younger than me. And you are one of them people, because there's, like I say, you've built a very impressive business portfolio. You've got a property portfolio. You've got the cars, you've got the Porsche, you've got the Land Rover, you've got the Rolex, you've got the nice apartment. And I think for a lot of young men, if I can still call myself a young man, these are the sort of things that, not to say we're materialistic, but those are sort of like key milestones and measures of success these days, the car, the watch. And not to say it's all about that, but you've definitely ticked a lot of those milestones. And I just want to say, hats off to you for doing that at 26. I'm a year older than you, but I'm like, damn, I'm looking up to James, which is also why I reached out to you and asked you to be my business mentor. And I'd love to get onto that side of things as well. But before we get too far into sort of this side of your life, I'd love to know kind of how you started, because your background, if I'm right, is fitness.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I've always been obsessed with money in a good way. Always. I'm very frugal with my money. I don't really spend anything unless I know I'm going to get something from it. I see every transaction as an investment, literally. Even when I purchase stuff, when I buy food, I'm like, is that going to make me feel good or is it going to make me feel bad? If I spend more money on organic? Am I going to feel better? Yes. If I feel better, what am I going to get? I'm obsessed. Now, it actually, it's going to be funny for the podcast, but I remember when I was younger, I don't know if you ever used to do this, but I used to literally like empty like bubble bath,
Right.
and like fill it back up with like half water, half bubble bath, and then I put a label on it and like try and sell it to my parents. Like I've just always been like, how can I just make money? Like I was always like doing chores for money. Like soon I was like old enough, can't remember the age, I was like, can I do some housework to earn some money? I was obsessed. I was like, how can I do a paper round? How can I get cash? I was on the fruit and veg stall at Hanbay Market at 11 or 10, 11, getting like 40 quid a day. My dad would drop me off to do you remember the old, where Aldi is, and the old
I know exactly
square?
where you mean. Yeah.
I used to get dropped off at 3:45 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and I'd work until about 5 p.m. and get paid like £40 cash.
And you were 10 or 11?
Yep.
I mean, first of all, I think it's worth mentioning what is quite funny is we're both from the same small seaside town.
Yeah.
Even though we've only really known each other the past couple of years, I'd say. But that's funny, the fact that we're both here in Dubai on a podcast and we're from the same town in the UK. But also, what I'm wondering is, where does that hunger for money come from, do you think? Because 10 or 11, to be that, not fixated on money, but to be getting up at 3:45 at 10 or 11 years old, I don't think, I was going to say I don't think there's any. I don't think there's many 10 or 11-year-olds that are that drawn to money at that age. So where do you have any idea where that comes from?
I loved the freedom that having cash could get you. Like I loved the idea of like, if I have my own wallet filled with my own cash, I could literally go and buy anything. Like, I think potentially, every parent's like this. I'm not saying like my parents are strict, but like, I wasn't one of these, kids that like just gets everything brought for them, like at all. Complete opposite. So I think I always wanted a lot, but could never get it, or like I could never have it easily. So therefore, I wanted to find my own way to get what I want.
Yeah.
And by getting what I want, it equaled cash. And then naturally, I used to go down to the town every single Saturday morning, with my nan actually. And she used to like spend all of her money at the market and meet really good friends and stuff. And then she put me in touch with the flower stall initially. And then the flower stall passed me on to the fruit and veg. And then also I learned sales.
Yeah.
I learned sales at like 11. Because I was like literally like, because I was younger as well. Obviously, anyone that knows Hanbay is quite like an old sort of population town, and they loved the fact that there was this like 11-year-old just like selling punnets of like fruit. So like John was my boss, and he would literally get fruit that was probably maybe 4 or 5 days away from going, but he'd bring it to Hanbay Market because he know that I'd just stand at the front and sell it. He'd be like, right, sort of game on today, James, is we need to clear like 300 punnets of apricots or whatever. And I'd be like, game on. And then I'd create an offer. I'd then, speak to John and be like, he might say, can I do 2 punnets for 5? And I'd go, what about this? And then towards the back end of the day, we'd recreate the offers to shift the stock. And I was just loving it. And like looking back now, I've never actually thought of it like that. But I literally just, sold and created offers at like 11 to mass consumer.
Yeah, creating offers at 10 years old.
Without realising.
James Hormozy. But yeah, what an interesting story. So 10 or 11 years old, you're at the market, you're selling fruit and veg, you're essentially doing sales at a very, very young age, with the goal of wanting to kind of have your own money to give you that freedom. And I really relate to that because my parents in the same way taught me the importance of saving.
Yes.
And they were strict too. But in a way that they thought would benefit me in the future. You get your pocket money. I don't even know if that's still a thing these days, but you get your pocket money. And if you save up, every single week, then at the end of the month, you might have enough money to buy that thing that you want. And I guess that's kind of what they instilled in me. I didn't quite start working as young as you, but I did end up working in a cafe that they owned when I was about 14.
Nice.
But this isn't about me. I'd love to continue on your journey. So where do we go from 10 or 11 years old?
So I I really, really got a first fit of money and cash on that stall because I used to have a wraparound zip bag.
Got the fanny pack.
Fanny pack. That's it. Fanny pack. I was trying to think of the name. Mate, just cash. Absolutely filled with cash. And I was like, holy moly. And then kept on doing that. Winter was getting tough and tough and tough. And then I actually got a job at a care home. So I was making teas and like sandwiches from probably like 13. And I loved it. And I think it was really, really interesting because, you know, I was 13. I think some people at that age are scared of like really old people. Like, you know, I was going in on a Sunday and sometimes having to teach them how to even drink a cup of tea. Like, it was a very surreal experience, and not everyone can do it. But it taught me so much. It was almost like I had like 50 different nans, like, you know. And I learned essentially a bit of customer service. I learned people. And I think the biggest thing from the market to the care home is I understand people. Because I think if you can really, really get on well and speak to, like, you know, the older population, and also obviously be very sort of close to the younger population, obviously with me being young, at a young age I was exposed to almost like putting up with a broad variety of ages. And I think then you just learn different people. And I think people skills is like the biggest and most valuable skill you can ever get. I hire people now on people skills as well, because you could have the best person in the world at what they do, but if they can't get on a call or like hold a human conversation, it's not going to end very well.
I said this recently, you can't teach personality.
At all.
And you really need someone that has the right personality to fit the role that they're supposed to fulfill in the business.
Yep.
And you know what? I think what you've said there is really, really important in basically getting exposed to people of different ages at a young age.
Yep.
Because if you think about the standard sort of trajectory of most people, you're surrounded by school friends in a school up until the age of 16, especially in the UK. Then you might go to university from 16 to 20 or 21. Again, people your own age. The only people you've really got that you're interacting with are maybe teachers or people that you see out and about, but generally you're kind of in your own little bubble.
Yeah.
And I think one of the best things that happened to me was leaving school at 16 and doing an apprenticeship and being on a construction site in London at 16. I grew up very, very quickly.
Literally.
But it sounds like you were even years ahead of me. Maybe that's why you're a few years ahead in business.
But it's the same principle. Like, we both exposed ourselves to probably being uncomfortable, which in my opinion no one does anymore. Right? And then, you know, also at school, like, I was pretty much always hanging around with people maybe 2 or 3 years above me because I got on with them more. Like, I had amazing friends in my year, but I never really truly related to people in my year. Like, for example, obviously I'm a big Charlton fan. I shouldn't probably admit that right now because probably going to League Two. But at like kind of 14 to 15, so my dad used to take me to the football up until then. And at 14 to 15, I obviously had a few years of earning my own money. And then I was kind of like, I want to start going to Charlton myself. And obviously my mum and dad are like, you're like 14, going up to London, but they let me. So at 14, I was literally getting on the coach in Herne Bay, going up to Charlton on my own. I've always chased like independence.
Yeah.
I've always been wanting, almost like I was young, but just really wanting and desiring that adult life.
Yeah.
And then with me being relentless and also with me having the money, my mum and dad couldn't say no because they were like, to be fair, he's earning his own money. Like, I'm not some, you know, person that they don't trust going up to London. So I was doing that.
Yeah.
I think I've always just done stuff probably like 3 years ahead.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And going up to Charlton at 15, do you think, was that part of your entry into fitness, or was it a different route that led you to fitness?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was always playing sport, so football. I'm not going to be one of them guys that's like, yeah, could have made it, played for West Ham or whatever, you know. I always think back to the in-betweeners moment when Jay's on the car.
Yeah.
I love saying that story. And I was playing football. I did play for an academy. I had trials at a few pro clubs. And I broke my wrist. And I was petrified, and I hate hospitals now. I absolutely hate them. Like, you know, the thought of a blood test makes me want to pass out. Hate them. But the biggest issue for me was I loved sport, and I was that typical, like, yeah, I want to be a pro footballer. But it was around the same time as my GCSEs. So I broke my wrist pre-GCSEs, and I had to have a scribe for like pretty much 95% of my exams.
Wow.
So imagine trying to do a maths paper where you can't write, and you have to explain to somebody, like, this is what I want you to write on the piece of paper. So I had a really tough time with GCSEs. Passed them all, got all the grades I needed, but could I have done better? Potentially. So then my mind was like, again, coming back down to that trade-off and investment. I've just played football where all it does is cost me money. Yes, I'm, you know, enjoying it, but what has that now costed me for my future? Could I have got better grades? I mean, thinking back now, I don't think grades are even that important. But at the time, you kind of think, like, to me, I was assumed that, like, yeah, like, get good grades, go to university, X, Y, Z, because you're in the, you know, in the school system. So I assumed I need to quit football, you know, because I didn't want to go through that experience again. And think also, I just, you know, I was like kind of 15, 16, however old you are at GCSEs, and I realised I do need to start thinking, you know, you can't just play football on a Saturday morning all your life. I need to start growing up.
Yeah.
So I quit. And then I was kind of a bit I wasn't overweight, I was chubby. Chubby. And I then basically got obsessed with the gym. I remember I got absolutely diced, signed up to the leisure centre. For about 2 months straight, I did like a 5K run, probably Monday to Friday, with some ab crunches and machines. And got abs within like 2 months. And then I was like, wow. And then also at school, everyone was like, wow, he's gone from like that to that. And then I just got obsessed with like fitness. This was when Body Power was going. This was like 2014, where Gymshark first did Body Power, and they absolutely crushed it. And I went to the expo, and I was like so motivated. So did the standard, you know, JV fitness Instagram profile. Remember everyone at school taking the piss.
You were probably quite early with that, because Gymshark was early days. Like, I remember being sort of 16. How old would you have been then in 2014?
I reckon.
Oh, you'd have been 15, right?
15, yeah.
So exactly. I would have been a year older than you, year and a half maybe. So 16, 17. And that was before I even knew what gym was, but I knew the brand because you saw people our age and around then kind of wearing it, the old school Gymshark vests.
It was like, like the Lux or Luke's tracksuit. I had the full tracksuit.
Yeah, the big shark on the front of it.
I used to literally turn up anywhere in Gymshark. Like, and then it was like Pursue Fitness, got obsessed with that. But yeah, I went to Body Power 2014 when literally fitness clothing was about to, you know, Ben Francis will tell anybody that Body Power made the brand. And I was there and I witnessed it. And that was, in my opinion, when the rise of fitness really went, because realistically, they didn't really realize the power of fitness influencers until that event. Yeah. Because they basically took a risk. They paid, you know, good few thousand for like some of the Instagrammers and YouTubers in the US to fly over. And then bang, that was a rise of influencer marketing.
So was that confirmation for you that this is the right step for me? You've found your feet in fitness, you've joined the local gym, you're getting diced, you're seeing the impacts and the positive impacts that fitness can have on your body, but then also the potential that it has to captivate an entire audience, bring people to a massive expo and build kind of all this hype around a brand new brand. Is that then your segue into the fitness industry? Like you say, you built your fitness page.
Yeah, because I was like, I wanted their life. I was like, these guys are like flying around, get all their clothes for free, like, and like people go up to them in the gym and they're in sick shape and they basically get paid to like look good. And then also, when I was in, so this would have been going into, brinking into like year 11 into sixth form, few people at school were like, can you do me a program? Then I was like, yeah, okay. And it was like, how much? I was like, how much? people would pay for that, you know? So I remember doing like a Word document, and I would just say, send 50 quid to my PayPal. And then I was like, what? Like, I'm literally doing a Word document, sending it for 50. I'm like doing like an online transaction for £50. I was like, what? And then that's when I saw the big scope. I actually then got inspired by Gymshark, and I was like, I want to go into the clothing e-commerce industry. So I remember I actually started this gymwear brand called like Consistency Gymwear. And I, basically sourced the t-shirts. My best mate at the time, Josh, was doing the designs on Photoshop. I was then getting them printed via some guy that I networked via on Instagram. Was buying stock in, had a Shopify store. Wasn't really doing much, but I was clearing the stock. And my biggest issue was like I was just trying to keep up with like people like Gymshark and stuff, and try and develop all these new products. But actually, I just needed to focus on selling and getting brand awareness. So I basically stopped that, because also my online coaching got busier, and it was zero cost. And I think very quickly the gymwear, I had no money either. Like it was the money I was earning, all the cash that I put into it. But it was amazing, because within a couple of weeks I'd designed, sourced t-shirts, packaging, Shopify, fulfillment, everything, customer service. Just from like being inspired by Body Power.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yet another kind of opportunity for you to dip your toes in a completely new skill. And I think e-commerce has only developed more and more since then. And the things that you're talking about, sourcing products, designs, building Shopify stores, is even more accessible now than ever. And I see a lot more people trying to kind of get into the e-commerce industry, because like you said, within a couple of weeks, you then had products that you were selling on a Shopify store. And I think even though it's becoming more and more popular and people are becoming more aware of it, I still think there's a lot of people that don't realize how much opportunity there is, how a simple idea over a time frame of, like you said, a few weeks or maybe even months can actually develop into an online business. I think that's crazy. But so now we're at the point where you must be around about, did you say 16, 17? Yeah,
16, 17.
And you've gone on quite the journey then from sort of getting your feet wet at 10 or 11, 16 or 17, already had many jobs. And if you think most people are maybe just coming out of school now, never worked, never engaged with people of older ages. So even at 16 or 17, you've then got this wealth of experience. And I'm guessing that's what went on to maybe continue the online coaching business. And I guess it just went from there. So what came next?
So this is where it was a mad pivot. So I got, obviously, I was growing my online coaching, developing, my Instagram, and I had that desire to just learn and learn and learn. And that's when I got approached by a guy in the town, actually. Good investor. I think he saw a lot in me, hungry, willing to put the work in. And I was probably 17 and a half. Yeah, 17 and a half. And at this point, I was online coaching, doing some gym instructing. Quick little story about the gym instructing. Back in the day, courses and like doing your PT and gym instructor was like $4,000, $5,000. It was really hard to get. So I basically got a job as a flume attendant at the leisure centre in Herne Bay. So basically telling people when to go up and down the water slide. And then progressed to cleaner, because I thought if I get in there, then eventually I'm probably going to get in the gym. And within about 4 months, they'd gone, we'll put you through all your qualifications. And then within like another 2 months, I was qualified as a personal trainer. So I basically like just did some rubbish stuff to get in, kind of like do the crap to then work your way up. So that I then got my qualification via that at the same time as doing my online stuff. And then, the guy approached me and was like, do you want to do a cocktail bar in Herne Bay? Okay. So I was like, yes. I was like, said yes to anything, being around successful people. I was just like, yeah, whatever it takes. So we had the old stable opposite Morrison's.
Okay.
It was Life Lounge.
Oh, yeah, so, of course.
So I had 50% of Life Lounge.
Wow.
So basically, it was a old tea room We went down there. We were like, right, this is the proof of concept. We're going to do a cocktail bar. We had a downstairs basement that was like messy, and we basically wanted to bring a London / Ibiza vibe to Herne Bay, because, as you know, there's lots of people in Herne Bay and Whitstable that actually are down from London, chase that, luxury kind of vibe, and there was nothing around. So he was like, let's do it. So he basically said, no money down. I'll give you 50% if you do it all, apart from building works. So I was like, I'm in. So I hired staff. I did stock control. I sourced alcohol suppliers. I did all of the margins. I got my personal license. I was the youngest personal license holder in Kent at the time. I just turned 18, course 17 and a half, grinding throughout summer, and I had to just turn 18 to get my personal license. I remember the lady, is a girl called, I say girl, it was a lady called like Catherine, came from Canterbury City Council. And she was just like, what? I'm about to give a personal license to an 18-year-old. But we had security, we ticked all the boxes. And I did my personal license exam, so I passed it. So we opened. To be honest, I was at sixth form at the time, and I was just like literally pretty much bunking off a sixth form, which I never thought I'd ever do. But I was like seeing the business and seeing the growth, and I was like skipping sixth form, going down to the bar, getting everything ready. Teachers knew it. And then, we launched in the summer. We did a big launch event. We called it Zoo Life. And we had bear in mind, if you're watching this and you know Herne Bay, you're going to be like, what the hell? We had a massive lady dressed as a zebra on stilts walking around the town centre and outside Morrison's. And then we had a queue wrapped around. It's pretty much from Life Lounge all the way to the library.
Wow.
We sold I think our capacity was 300. We sold 275 tickets.
So all those sales skills you picked up at the market,
literally
at 18, you're selling out a venue in Herne Bay for over 300
that
tickets.
we literally did in 4 months.
Crazy.
From an idea.
I think it's probably hard for other people to gauge kind of how impressive that is, because I know Herne Bay, and even trying to find 300 people to get lined up to an event. Just for context, like you said earlier, it's a seaside town. Most people are probably pensioners. There are people our age, but few and far between. So the fact that you were able to do that, I think is amazing. And I actually had no idea you'd even done that. Fair play.
It was a great time. I was 18, part ownership of a cocktail bar. Teachers were coming down and drinking at the bar. The same ones that were you're bunking, you get into trouble. It's you're clearly enjoying it. Had all my mates coming down. I was just it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I was just having cocktails every single week and, partying. But that's what happened. I just got to the point where I was like, this isn't going to make me wealthy. This is just a little business reality. Is it scalable? Can we have a big chain? Probably not. And I just had this massive realization. And also I was drinking alcohol pretty much every single day and just partying every single day. It was great at the start, but I think that back end entrepreneurial brain and mind was don't think this is really what you should be doing. So then I literally sold my 50% back, which was great because I just made profit because I didn't even put any money down. And I went to uni.
Oh, wow.
Within 2 days. Basically sold and then went to uni. Because I was do them online. I don't want to do that bar anymore, but I need to just almost pass time. Yeah. So I went to uni, and then throughout uni, just kept on growing the online, passing time, network. I remember one of my first ever investments for my student loan. Yeah, say that. Got my student loan, and I literally brought a mentor out of my student loan. So instead of food and stuff like that, I was I'm going to invest in a mentor.
And was that mentor Elliot?
No.
Oh, so you actually had a mentor prior to that?
Yeah, so this was this e-commerce guy. I can't remember his exact name. Tony Foley.
Name rings a bell.
Yeah, Tony Foley. What was his brand? I think it was just eCommerce.com. I think he owns eCommerce.com or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Tony Foley. And just everything about the internet, growing an online business. Because I wanted to go on into online business. And then I basically was looking into dropshipping, stuff like that. But then I basically just learned the principles of more marketing and just applied it to fitness, and then it just grew and grew and grew. And also fitness was my passion. So I just kept on doing that.
Yeah. And that's actually why you're here in Dubai this weekend, is to visit, is it Affiliate World?
Yeah, so Affiliate World tomorrow, Thursday, which is, affiliate marketing, and some of the best, I'm on a boat tonight with, in my opinion, some of the best e-com guys in the world.
Yeah.
And flying to America Friday for the fitness, Arnold's Expo, which, thinking back to like 14 or 15-year-old me, if I'd have said like in like 10 years or whatever, you're going to be flying to Ohio for your business at the Arnold Sport Festival, I'd have been like, as if.
It's amazing. I mean, truly fitness and marketing through and through.
Yeah.
And it's now where you're at the point where, like we got onto at the start, where you're director of WV Virtual, Fitpreneur, Limitless Mentoring, and also a property portfolio. So if we're to talk more on kind of what's going on at the moment, or was there another step in between before this next transition?
No. Oh, well, I had a gym.
Oh, you actually ended up owning a gym?
Yeah, so basically, I was also personal training on the side.
Yeah.
And people skills got very busy. So I was trying to get a facility in Herne Bay, really Whitstable. But back in the time when I was trying to get it, it was like impossible to get planning permission. I remember George Wilson actually taking me under his wing, because he was like, I think George could see a bit of me in him. And he was like, we're going to get this, young lad, turning up like 19 or whatever, being like, I want to get a commercial unit, So didn't end up, after like 3 or 4 applications. But when I did my course, I met a guy, and he had an investor, and he had a gym in Thanet, St Nicholas at Wade. And I used to go to him for sports massage. So I went down on like a Sunday, had a sports massage, and at the end of it, he said, by the way, I'm closing tomorrow. Bearing in mind, it was like 2,000 square foot kit, fully kitted out. It's like, why? He's like, I'm just not making enough money. So I was like, I'll buy half. How much is rent? Blah, 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 I'll buy half. So brought in, set up a limited company. I said, if we're going to grow this, we need to rebrand it. His model was wrong. So he was doing just like cheap monthly classes, like $29.99, unlimited classes, wasn't selling the result. So I was like using all my marketing techniques, applied it to a gym. Our client base was pretty much 80% female, yet the gym was like dark, dingy, kit was all like heavy weights. So completely stripped it back, moved into a semi-private personal training kind of structure. So basically groups of like 4 to 6 ladies, just loved it. So fun. Turned the business around, got it profitable, built a little office, some online in the corner. And he was a strong man. And so half the gym was like this card deadlift platform that like literally ladies were coming in, in for consults going like, what the hell is that? And I just said, look, this is a business now. I get that, you're a strong man, but like, you're not making any money from it. As savage as I was, like, you're never going to make any money from it. We're now making money from business. What do you want to pick? And then basically overnight, I just got a message saying, hey mate, wasn't going to tell you this, but actually when you brought into the business, I didn't submit your name to go onto the lease. So I filled in this form to the council to change the lease, through the solicitor, and he didn't do it. So in theory, you had a limited company. The building was still in his old company because we created a new company. His old company was still running. And then basically he didn't put me on a lease. So he said, if you come into that gym tomorrow, you're trespassing.
That's crazy.
Like literally overnight.
So he basically got you to scale the gym.
Yep.
I really didn't expect it to end that way. I was going to start on a lighter note by saying you really are James Hormozy when I said earlier, because, you're not scaling other people's gyms, but you scaled your own, which is where he started, right? But the fact that it ended that way is crazy. I mean, how did you deal with that? Because up until this point, you'd made so many, from the sounds of things, right decisions. Yeah. And I think it's one thing that people often fall short on is people. Yep. Even though you started so young, you had all of these people skills, you still got caught out by not knowing, you know, what he'd done behind your back. So how did you deal with that, and kind of where did things go from there?
So, yeah, and again, I think that like the key there is like when you're young, hungry, wanting success, you just jump at anything. And like that was one of my first hard lessons. I was like, you need to be careful about people. You can't trust anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I literally lost everything overnight. Legit.
I said a similar thing recently. I said you need to be so careful who you go into business
Yeah.
with, because that person is ultimately going to control your future.
Yeah.
You know, you're going into business with someone, you're giving it absolutely everything. You've made an investment,
Yeah.
a lump sum investment, which is maybe your savings after all of those years of work in the market, of doing the online coaching, all of the hard work that you've put in, and you've met someone with no morals.
Yeah.
And how could you do that to someone? How could somebody do that to anyone, let alone, you know, a young guy coming up, probably knowing that that's probably like your life savings, right? All of the money you'd saved up until that point from the Life Lounge, from all of your business ventures, and just like that.
And yeah, so what it actually was, and I found out, you know, the real reason was ego. Because I was like, 20, 21? 21. He was like 32, failing. 21-year-old comes in, hungry, loads of ideas, changes everything, gets it profitable. And then I'm like, kind of telling him what we need to do next, because look what I've just done. But he also didn't want to grow. So his natural thing was like, just do me over.
That's insane. You know, I had Joe on here yesterday, and we were talking about how it's a good thing that neither me or him are egotistical.
Yeah.
Otherwise we wouldn't get very far.
Literally.
And we were saying in business, you just cannot have an ego. But in life, I mean, you just shouldn't have one, because the thing is, if someone's, in this instance, you actually bettered his life, his business,
Literally.
and the fact that his ego couldn't let him get past that someone younger had done that he'd rather cut it all off than actually just admit that, okay, maybe this guy's better than me at my own business. But I think you're only ever going to get so far in business if you have that mindset. There comes a time where you need to go, I need some assistance with this, or I need to hire someone that's more skilled at this than me, because it's now become bigger than me, which is why we kind of ended up getting mentoring from yourself. But at this point then, you've now had another business that ultimately was very, very successful by the sounds of things. And then did you lose everything?
Yeah, everything.
It's crazy.
Like, didn't even, you know, money-wise, didn't even get anything back. You know, I bought half, and it was just so messy. But I was just like, I could sit here moaning and being upset, or I can just crack on and just earn double what I put in.
Yeah.
I just saw the opposite. I could have, you know, laid in bed and all this stuff. So the next day, I messaged all of my clients in the morning, and I went to Costa Sturry, and I literally booked in back-to-back coffees. Like, don't worry, I went decaf. I think halfway I went to water. But I must have done 100 quid on bloody Costa that day.
Yeah.
But every single client was just like, amazing. Don't care where you end up, whatever you do, I'm gonna still pay you. I'm not expecting any money back. We love you. You've changed my life. Bang.
And do you know what?
Every single client.
I think the most important thing there just goes to show that people buy into people.
Yep.
It's not about the location or the business. And I think this is something that we're seeing more and more now about the importance of personal branding, something that you do very, very well, is ultimately people are buying into the person behind the service, not the business, you know? So sounds like there was some kind of light at the end of the tunnel then. You took the time out to meet all of those clients or individuals one-to-one, and the result of that was they all wanted to continue working with you. Yeah.
And, you know, I was growing online at the time anyway. I wanted to pivot into online. Well, I kind of wanted to go all in with online, to be honest. So I just did. Just, you know, shifted majority online, got into a pure gym to do a bit of PT just to be honest, I liked the routine. I trained a guy called Chris at 6 a.m. 3 days a week for like 3 years.
Wow.
Just like part of my routine.
Yeah.
Still see him now.
Yeah.
Like, he's like one of my friends now. Like, and yeah, just pivoted everyone online and learnt from it. And ever since that, just focused online.
I think the key there is just to as much as things might seem like an amazing opportunity, and I've had it here in Dubai, where you see people investing in property and you hear about all of these opportunities and it all looks so shiny and exciting. But when I really stop and think, I think, well, don't make an irrational decision. You don't understand property, as in myself, you know, it's not something I've kind of ventured in. So don't just follow what everyone else is doing. Just take a moment to take it all in, speak to the right people, maybe get a mentor, find someone who's successfully got either, you know, a buyer, refurb, refinance business, or maybe they're doing buy to let, as in like short-term rentals and stuff like that, and learn. You know, pay a small amount of money to ultimately have the huge upside that you're going to get from that knowledge. Assuming that they are good at what they do. You know, I know there's a lot of fake gurus out there, but you've got to trust your gut at some point. And again, drop the ego, hire someone or work with someone who knows what they're doing, and soon that'll be you. You know, so I think that's the key takeaway there, is just be really careful with the decisions that you make. As much as things might seem like an amazing opportunity, a lot of the time it probably is, and you do have to take some risks in life, but make sure you cover the bases, make sure that every dot in that contract and every T is checked through, and make sure you've got that bit of paper to say that this is official. And
that was it. That was the biggest lesson. Like, I didn't have a contract ever since I've had contracts. So, but, you know, I learned the hard way. And I think majority of people, and I think sometimes, you know, one of the best things I love when I do like an Instagram story box or whatever, question box, they go like, would you do anything differently, or what would you change? I was like, nothing. I would still get done over today. I literally would. It's made me the person I am.
For sure. I think those life lessons are so important. And I think it's a really good way to be, like to live without regret. I always think that everything kind of happens the way it's supposed to. As unfortunate as some things are, it will never happen again. You're never, ever going to let that happen to you again. You're going to read every contract and you're not going to make those mistakes. You're going to be an even better judge of character. You're not going to jump into things. So many important things there. And I think this is what comes back to what we said at the start, by starting early. Make the mistakes early, because they're going to be so much worse if you're making those mistakes at 30 and that's your life savings when you've got a mortgage. You know? So get into business early if possible. Make the mistakes and learn, and don't make the same mistakes twice.
That's what I say. So I probably once a year or twice a year at the moment, I go into my university. I do a lecture, and the biggest thing I say to every single person at the end, because they actually I'm quite surprised. Like, they actually let me preach business, self-employment, kind of don't go traditionally into jobs, because they just said, like, there are so many people now that do go to university and don't want to be doing the course, but they're just passing time, which I did. And then secondly, they don't want to go into business, but there's no support. And everyone around them, including their lecturers, are just like, get a job. And, you know, I go in here and I preach, like, in my honest opinion, do whatever you want to do now. You know, I do this thing, I'm like, hands up. You know, hands up if you have any commitments to, like, family. Some will, because you get some, like, older students. You know, hands up if you have a mortgage. Like, pretty much nobody puts their hands up. I'm like, hands up if you have loads of bills. No one puts puts hands up. Do it now.
Yeah. That was a similar thing that my parents always said to me. They've always been business owners, and they said, while you're at home, while you have the benefit of living with us, you know, you don't really have rent, you don't have bills, you don't really have any major responsibilities with regards to, you know, your own family and children and things like that. Now is the time to take risk, because should anything happen, you're still at home, you know. And I think even just hearing your journey has been really, really enjoyable. It's very, very interesting to kind of hear that. But what I'd like to get onto, where I think a lot of the value also lies, is where you're at now. And it seems like I didn't realize how much to the story there was, and I don't want to skip any important bits, because it's been really enjoyable hearing it. But I really want to make sure that we tell people about truly what you're doing now, because I think from your journey, you've got so much value to add. You've got a wealth of experience in business now, and it'd be good to know, like, what you're doing currently, and kind of what your day-to-day looks like. What is a day in the life of James Vogle?
Oh, are you ready?
Yeah.
Day in the life of James Vogle. So, to fast track, obviously, online coaching business grew. Started to get people reach out to me being like, you know, can you help me with mine? Then I did. Then also joined Limitless, mentoring, you know, been doing it ever since. Probably last 3.5 years, you know, the kind of caliber of clients, as my online business grew, I learned new stuff, you know, different industries. I learned new strategies. And then I kind of developed as people grew. So hiring teams, I realized that people need to hire teams. I had a team at the time, so I then taught them that. Looked into paid media, taught them that, and then learned the principle of like conversion and traffic, and then realized that I could help people with bigger accounts, because I realized that there's lots of amazing people out there, that have got incredible amounts of following that don't know how to make money.
Yeah.
Like I pretty much, my mentoring for the first year and a half was literally getting people with like maybe 2,000 people up to like 5 or 10 grand a month, which is insane. But it wasn't hard work, but like you had to do a lot of different strategy.
Yeah.
But if you have, some of our clients now, like Sophia based in LA, 1.7 million followers. She does one story to her email list and she'll get like 5,000 people sign up.
So just to add a bit of context there, I apologize for kind of rushing you on that, but I feel like I just want to clarify. These are typically people in the fitness niche with fairly large audiences. Yeah. And when you say you were taking people with 2,000 followers, that's Instagram followers, and helping them scale to £5,000 to £10,000 a month in monthly recurring revenue. And that's through Limitless mentoring, which is what you're a part of now. And it's also how you ended up mentoring myself and Joe at Profit Driven Marketing. So apologies for making you kind of rush through that, but I just wanted to clarify for everyone else watching, because I think that's really, really important. So you're still within the fitness niche, but actually, interestingly, you've got quite a wealth of a marketing background by this point, which is what drew me and Joe to work with you as well. So we own a marketing agency that is Profit Driven Marketing, and you touched on, helping people build a team. You helped us with that massively. We've gone from a team of 2 to a team of 6 in about 6 months. And I think that was really kind of helping us, holding us back from scaling. There's only so much you can do. And as a business owner, you often get spread very, very thin. So you really need to take the time to invest in people and to hire. And ideally, if you can, find people that are even better than yourself. Because like what we're saying, just kind of drop that ego and help people grow.
Yeah, because what basically happened was obviously clients grew, and majority are like solopreneurs, or they're with their partners, and they needed to outsource, but they didn't know how to outsource. And I, obviously being a mentor at the time, I was like telling them, you should hire a freelancer, but then they didn't know how to hire, train, manage, get whatever they want from them. So then we moved into the outsourcing agency, because it just made sense.
And that is WV Virtual.
Yeah. So, from graphic design, outreach, report writing, it went a bit weird, because we started off in the fitness niche, and then we started to get people referring people in like the beauty niche. Then we started to get like solicitors, because they were like, I don't have to pay somebody in the UK like £15 an hour. I could pay somebody, or I could pay you like £10 an hour. It's also no PAYE tax, all this stuff. And it was just like, and also you can work around the clock, because we provided essentially 24/7 assistance. So we very quickly just scaled, but we scaled in such a bad way. Looking back, it was a mess, because we had all these different industries, and we kind of saw the shiny object, because we saw all these different industries wanting assistance. Next thing you know, we're like, we've got about 15 different hiring type forms. We're building out like a 20-page website, because we help with this. We've got client managers, we've got time tracking. Oh, mate, it was a mental period. We probably scaled up to like over 100 assistants, like so quickly. Wow. Like crazy quickly. And very quickly I had to learn so much. Yeah. Like, I was even out my comfort zone at one point, because I'd just gone from like, a small team to like 100 plus. Yeah. Around the world as well.
I think you made the mistake that a lot of businesses make, which is the shotgun approach.
100%.
You see all of the opportunity, you see all of the people that need help, and we started that with our marketing agency. Yeah. But I think one of the best things you can do where possible is niche down and make sure your offer is specific to the people that you're serving. Yeah, so is that what you ended up doing?
Yeah, because we had an incredible 6 months of revenue. Like,
I bet.
Insane. Like, kind of like, wow. And then it started to plummet, because we were just too essentially watered down. We weren't strong in anything. We originally started because we were in a strong niche, and then we just got drawn in by everything else. So then we essentially, sort of pushed it back to fitness. And then, I truly believe in trends, and what I saw was, other industries wanting to really push online. And then that's when I started to help other agencies, Josh Thomas accountancy firm, like Insane Story, yourselves, numerous different industries, because it's the principles of marketing and growth that I can apply to any business, instead of like fitness. I've developed through different industries, that's why come back to the start, like got so much different experience, and I've applied principles at every single point, from getting people to walk into a bar, people to come into a gym, sell fruit, like so much. And then when you apply new age principles, it just scales.
Yeah, for sure. You've got the secret sauce. So what would you say is the key pillars to scaling a business? What do you identify across many different businesses that is the same across all of them?
Like, I don't want us to be this massive, all of that, kind of build up for this. But honestly, and I'm truthfully saying this from all the years, doing the work, literally, right? If you actually want to grow something, and I'm going to bring it back to this guy called Callum. So Callum was a window cleaner on the Isle of Wight. Okay. Literally wanted to move online. He was like, I don't want to be outside. It's freezing cold. I want to start an agency helping other window cleaners grow. Within literally 3 days, we had a client. We built an offer. We worked how we're going to fulfill it. We then built an email marketing campaign. We taught him how to extract data, put 2 and 2 together, bang. Difference was he wanted it, and he literally just did it.
I think the saying is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right?
Literally, look at Josh, right? I remember the first call with Josh, literally, he actually objected, and I'm not a hard salesman, everyone knows, I never sell on the phone. And he said, I'll have a think. And look where we are now.
Yeah.
And and again, from my own experience, because I am doing the do. This is the difference, right? You get mentors that have done it. I've done it and I'm still doing it. And I'm adapting every single, and also where I'm at the top of different industries, I see everything. Fitpreneur now, we work with the biggest fitness creators in the world, right? Our client overall reach is probably over 1 billion in views.
So what is Fitpreneur?
So Fitpreneur is a digital marketing agency that covers app development and done for you marketing. So basically we take an influencer that has an incredible platform. They're focusing on brand deals, earning 2, 3, 4, 5 grand a month, but they don't actually have a business. So our whole company ethos is turning creators into real entrepreneurs. So we teach them how to grow, how to convert, and actually how to become a business person. So from building the app to, again, doing everything for them. So we have an email marketing team. We have a paid media team. We have a consulting team. We have a content strategy team. I've hired the best people in the game because we need people that understand everyone. So by doing this, I see everything.
Yeah.
I see, I've still got some clients that have 10K less, 10K followers or less. I see what's working with that, but then I also see the mass market because, someone like Sophia, for example, or Fiction, 2.7 million. The data I get from seeing what works on these profiles is insane.
Yeah.
Because I can run probably 20,000 organic people to a page within an hour.
Yeah.
And I can see, for example, we have Clarity, and I can see what they're doing on the site, where they're scrolling. I'm obsessed. Yeah. I feel like I've got the power right now.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I'm seeing everything.
Yeah.
From every single industry.
Yeah.
And then I'm, pulling it into applicable strategy. And I love it.
it's amazing what you can do with an audience.
Yep.
And I think that's what really shows the strength of a personal brand.
Yeah.
I know you know that as well. But what I'm noticing is a common theme over all three of your businesses, and that is at its core, they're all to do with scaling businesses. You've got WV Virtual that is about outsourcing internal processes to help people scale, right? At a fairly low cost by using overseas employees and, like you said, avoiding PAYE and things like that. You've then got Limitless Mentoring, where you're working one-to-one with other business owners and helping them scale, as you did with us at Profit Driven Marketing. And then you've also got Fitpreneur, where you're working directly with people who already have audiences, but you're teaching them how to leverage that audience and essentially monetize their audience, right?
Exactly that. Like, our whole principle is like, we will teach you how to turn your followers, comments, likes, engagers into paying customers.
Yeah.
Because they don't know it. They, you know, what I've learned is they get drawn in by so many bad people in the industry. I think it's interesting because people don't go after the industry because I think it's hard. I found client acquisition super easy because you just have to think differently. But I've learned that from applying, you know, lead generation and outreach strategies across multiple industries. You know, I can get an influencer to literally watch a Loom video within a day.
Yeah. Well, who is it that you're going to Arnold's to meet?
Yeah, so like I'm meeting Mike Ahern.
Yeah.
Because he needs help, because he's not taking his 3.5 million followers and he's not making cash. Like, he's making cash, but he could be 10x, you know, famous Grant Cardone. Like, he could literally be 10xing what he's doing.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't have anything in place. Nobody at the top being like, this is what you need to do.
So you actually got in front of him through lead gen.
Yep.
What was that process like?
So literally, Loom video, followed up on Instagram, and then I actually realised that I had a mutual connection. So then basically the mutual connection then put me in touch. But again, that's the power of a multi-layer. Like, I say it to you all the time, don't I? Multi-layers. Like, what we found actually, like, for example, we were doing email one to get intent, which, funny, I'm definitely trying to get Jay Cutler at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah, like, his team, Jay, if you ever watch this, mate, his team just are obsessed with our emails.
Okay.
But it's so hard to get through to his team. So we're working on him. But I've paid for an autograph session with him at the weekend. So I've literally, but do you know what I mean?
See, this is your level of thinking, though, right? So you're going to Arnold's to meet Mike O'Hearn, and already you're thinking, how can I get in front of Jay Cutler? And honestly, James, I think that's a testament to you and your way of thinking is the opportunity and being drawn to the opportunity. It's like what you said earlier about, you know, if there's an opportunity there, you're going to take it. You know, a lot of people wouldn't even think to do that. I mean, you know, unless I really sat down and thought of it, I don't think I would think to do that. You know, it's amazing, really. So hats off to you. Clearly, you deserve all of the success that you get, and I hope you do get in front. You know, I can imagine you on the plane there, crafting your offer and everything.
Coming back from Ohio without having Jay Cutler on the books.
That's the mindset. That is the mindset right there. The confidence in your own ability. Yeah. You know what? It's funny. I saw a clip from Luke Belmar the other day, and he says, you know, people say to me, investing in this is risky, doing that is risky. He says, it's not, because I'm trusting my own initiative. He said, I'm putting the trust in myself. I trust myself to make this decision. Therefore, there's no risk. Risk is not real. And that's kind of like what you're saying there, where you're saying, I'm not leaving without getting him on the books.
You know, I literally flown out to Dubai. I'm cutting my Dubai trip early. I've spent God knows how many £1,000s for this flight. They've sold out a business class, so I've got to sit 17 hours on an economy seat to New York from Dubai. Right? I'm getting Jay Cutler. Like, I've already done whatever I can.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is how analytical I am. So I was saying to Theo before this podcast, so there's a big gym in Columbus that all the pros train at. They actually closed the gym off to all the public. Okay, and only athletes and bodybuilders can train there. I've got a pass. I've also got a pass to their VIP party that they have on the rooftop terrace on the Saturday night, where I know all of them are going. I've then also paid, for example, Sam Sulek. I've paid to have a photo and an autograph session with Sam Sulek because I want to get him on the app.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, then I've also done my digging for him, and I've followed some people that he knows, and like, you know, leveraging it. Like Jay Cutler's talent manager, I've now got on LinkedIn, because I know that they're opening the email and then they're going to see me on LinkedIn, and then I genuinely believe they are going to know who I am when I say who I am when I meet them, because they're seeing me, and they're going to go, "You've flown all the way to the US, like, let's give you some time."
I absolutely love that, James. It's the mentality to have. It's that you're so sure in your ability, but you're sure because you're confident in your own ability. And like you said, you've done all the groundwork, you've done your homework, you've truly looked into this, you've cut your Dubai trip early, you flew over here for affiliate marketing, so again, to better your skills at what you do. You've cut your own trip short to then fly over a 17-hour flight to America to hopefully, well, no, it's not to hopefully, sorry, to meet Mike O'Hearn. You've then put yourself in the right situations to also meet Sam Sunak and also Jay Cutler. So you're truly making the most of this trip, and the confidence that you have in yourself is something that I think a lot of people look up to. That's why I said I look up to you, because you have a certain way about you. You know what you want and you know how to get it, and you're very analytical in your approach. I think you also said on Instagram recently that networking changed your life. Literally. Is that right? And I think you're just showing now the levels that you'll go to get in front of the right people. So that in itself, I assume, also comes from networking, right? The way to get into these doors and get into these places. Because how is it that you ended up actually getting a ticket to the Arnold's? Can anyone purchase that? Or
so you can purchase a ticket to the Arnold's, but you can't purchase a ticket to the gym. So I've basically, the best way to describe it is going backstage to, like, you know, a really good band.
Yeah.
I'm literally going backstage where they rehearse. Yeah. I'm going to the gym. You know, the Arnold's is the second biggest show underneath the Olympia. I'm in the athlete's gym. I've got access.
Are you going to have your Gymshark vest on? Are you one from when you're 15? Yeah.
Yeah. And it literally has changed my life, because, you know, and everyone I meet leads me on to new opportunities. As I said, just literally landed in Dubai yesterday. I'm already on a yacht tonight. Like, just from meeting one person at lunch, now I'm into the yacht, and God knows what that yacht will bring. God knows what affiliate world will bring. And also, I'm just buzzing for the US, because people forget that the US is like, I don't actually know the stat of how bigger it is compared to the UK.
Yeah.
I'm a small fish. Like, I'm trying to go after, like, small goldfish. There's sharks in the US. Not only are they bigger, and there's not only more of them, but their audiences is 10 times bigger, because the US is bigger. So I truly believe with what I'm doing and what Fitpreneur, you know, as a company are doing, we can truly nail the US market, because no one's doing it. I've researched it. People are starting to do it in the UK, and, like, mark my words, mate, this time next year we'll do another podcast and we'll talk about the growth of Fitpreneur this year. Genuinely, because again, I'm flying to the US. No one does that.
Yeah.
No one. I can comfortably say I don't think anyone is doing what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
And sure. My biggest quote is, like, do what others don't to be what others won't.
I like that.
And this is the proof in the pudding. I'll always swear by it.
And another one of your sayings is scale the unscalable, right? That one always sticks with me.
Yeah, like, you know, scale the unscalable. I'm getting on a 17-hour flight. Like, probably won't even have Wi-Fi. Like, but, you know, for example, I've got Sam in the office. He's building a landing page with a QR code for data collection. So in the meantime, while I'm here, I'm already thinking about how I'm going to collect data. That's going to be ready. And then flying to the US, in-person pitching, scaling unscalable.
I think I remember asking you that, not the first time we met, but I'll give a little bit of backstory behind the context. We obviously both trained at the same gym in Herne Bay, hadn't truly met, but seen each other from Instagram, I think. And I approached you in the gym, said I think there could be some overlap in what we do, in that, you know, I own a marketing agency. You're very much involved in marketing and scaling businesses, and invited you out for dinner with my business partner, Joe. And then we went to the Miller and Carter in Herne Bay, didn't we? Yeah. Had a steak, shared a bottle of wine. Yeah. And I think I remember asking you, out of interest, you know, what is it that motivates you? And you said, I just love it. You know, I love it. Yeah. And I think you can see that from the energy you have here when, you know, you're talking about how exciting it is. You're getting on a 17-hour plane flight. As much as I bet you're dreading the plane, I bet you're excited as well. I know you're going to love it.
Like, you know, I absolutely love it. It's why I'm going out there. Like, I love the fact that I could make huge changes to their businesses. Like, I've done a full website audit of Jay Cutler's site. There's spelling mistakes. There's loads of stuff broken. I'm going out there to help him.
Yeah.
So I'm going from a place. It'd be very different if I was going out and I had nothing to sell.
Yeah.
But I knew I couldn't do it. Like, what's going to, I feel bad if I don't go out there and help him. He could be doing way better.
Yeah. And I think what's also important is you're going out there with value in hand to provide.
Yeah.
You're not going out there empty handed on a whim to go, oh, hi Jay, I think I can help you. It's like, no, I've done my research. I've got the flight. I'm here and I'm here to make some noise.
This is key, right? Again, you have to do what others don't do.
Yeah.
Right? No one else will be doing that. They'll be going, this is my company. We can do this. And I'll go, Jay, I'll tell you about what we do after, but here's what I believe you could do right now to make a massive impact.
Yeah.
Bang.
I think there's so many important nuances that people can take away from this podcast and from you sharing your journey. And I want to apologize again for almost cutting your journey a little bit short, because I feel like there was a part of it that you rushed, which was that transition from owning the gym to then kind of where you are today. And maybe if we get you on another time, it'd be great to hear that slight gap that we rushed there. But I think you showed the importance of getting your foot in the door early, starting young. I don't think you can ever start in business too early, but get your foot in the door, start making those mistakes, because we all make them,
It's important to make mistakes.
100%.
That sounds crazy, but like, if you don't make mistakes, then you're actually, I think, doing things massively wrong.
Yeah, For sure. I think it's healthy. Well, the way I like to describe it is almost that snakes and ladders analogy, where you're climbing, and then you roll that dice a little bit wrong, you snake it back down, and it can feel like you're taking one step forward, two steps back. But I always find this a necessary evil to then take you up that next ladder. So there's that as well. I think doing what others aren't willing to do, scale the unscalable, and truly just knowing what you want, building a plan and going out there and getting after it. I think that's something that's a lot of people can kind of take away from this about your journey and the way that you tackle things now and the way that you look at things. But James, for those that are watching, obviously we've discussed all of your kind of different businesses now. There's quite a few of them. Where can people best go to find out more about you, the services that you offer amongst all of your businesses, and how can they get in touch with you?
So, the best thing to do is probably follow me on Instagram. So James Vogle, Vogle. And I'm always on my DMs. There's no VA or, believe it or not, there's no VA. It's always me. I'm quite protective about, my whole vibe. So you'd always get me. Obviously, fitpreneuragency.com. wvvirtual.com, but all of my kind of consulting and stuff like that is through my Instagram, so just DM me and we can have a chat.
For sure. Any final notes for the audience?
Final notes, the biggest take home that I think you should get from this and putting all the lessons together is just do it, because I know too many people that get to being older and they go, I wish I could have done that, or I could have done that, I should have done that. Don't ever be that person. So if you, Thea said there, right, think of a plan, build it up. Don't do everything up until the point of doing it. Just do it. Yeah. And actually sometimes it's better off just doing it and then working backwards sometimes.
Yeah. So James Vogle, just do it. You want to be careful that Nike don't see you for that one. But James, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I really do mean that. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Appreciate it, mate.
And take care.
Cheers, man.